Good morning, good people. Today we're going to start off with the endocrine system. And it's an important system. It works well to coordinate your body. And we want to know what is coordination, what's the different types of coordinations you have. We're going to go through all of it. So this is what your endocrine system has, a system of glands. You can see something in your brain, something there by your throat, near your heart, and then you got your pancreas here, and there's something there, and here's your reproductive organs. So these are where basically the organs, the glands are. Here's your terminology that I've compiled for you. What is a hormone? What is exocrine gland? What is an endocrine gland? Homeostasis, coordination, dwarfism, acromegaly, gigantism, goiter. The usual terminology that we have at the beginning of each section. So now we look at the introduction of endocrine system. What is it composed of? It's composed of many glands. These glands produce hormones, and this is what the hormones are doing. They're regulating metabolism, growth, development. They're even regulating your sexual functioning. So we're going to look at all of them because we have done a few of them in each section. Your endocrine gland, the system functions. It makes hormones that control your moods, and your parents can testify to this, especially when you're going through puberty and your body's going through changes. All of this is linked with the system. And development, your bone development and all of that. This system controls how your hormones are released, how much is released, when it's released. It also sends, the system sends hormones into your bloodstream so they can travel to where they are needed. And where they are needed, body parts, we refer to them as target organs. Okay, let's move on. This is basically a picture to tell you of all where your all the endocrine glands are. You don't have to know where the pineal gland is. It's in the brain. You don't have to know its function. I've crossed out this one. The adrenal glands, we're going to look in detail, which is found on top of the kidney here. So it's taken out from there separate, so it shows you what is happening, but that's where it's situated. The ovaries and your testes. Here's your testes, what it looks like. There's the epididymis there. Your pancreas. And we're going to look at exocrine and endocrine glands. And here's your pituitary gland, your master gland, this part here, which is also known as your hypophysis. So those are all the glands that we're going to look at the endocrine system. And again, you know, I always try to repeat and sing the same song so that it sinks into our heads. And we look at the hypothalamus in the brain, at pineal gland, the pituitary gland. Here's it. It's got a front portion called the anterior lobe and the back portion called the posterior lobe, which we've already done the terminology anterior and posterior in the eye. The thyroid gland, which is parathyroids, but you can just learn it as the thyroid gland, which is found like it's a butterfly structure found by your throat, near your voice box. And then this is your adrenal glands found on either side of your kidney. And there's your ovary, and males, your testes. This is a very interesting section. Okay, so let's start off with the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is producing the hormone thyroxine. Sorry guys, this is the wrong spelling. I should have adjusted it, but now we started the lesson. What does thyroxine do? Very, very important. It controls your metabolic rate. It's controlling how fast is your food burnt out and what is happening to your food. Where's all of that energy going to? It affects growth by maintaining the growth hormone content of the pituitary gland, which we're going to look at just now. It also works with your heart and nervous system, and this is very important. Your nervous system and the thyroid gland are working together. We have something called hyperthyroidism. How to remember hyperthyroidism? Hyperthyroidism, think of hypermarket, there's lots of things to buy, so that is overproduction of thyroxine. What does this do? It increases the above actions that we discussed, and it causes ophthalmia, where your eyeballs protrude. And if you're looking at page, in your textbook, page 157, you'll see a picture there. Hypothyroidism, think of hypo meaning low. That means there's less adrenaline, less thyroxine being produced, and we have to learn under secretion and over secretion in each section. So under secretion means there's less hypothyroidism, less thyroxine in children. It causes a condition called creatinism. Look at the symptoms of it or results of it. And in adults, low production is called maxedema. Let us move on. And this is what it looks like in your body. So this is your throat or your pharynx, and there's your thyroid gland. There's your parathyroid, which you don't have to learn in caps. Your esophagus and your windpipe, which is your trachea. See how this looks in your body. And more pictures to show you what it really looks like. This is like a real life picture. Look at that. Right? And there's your voice box. And it's showing you that this is your butterfly structure, which is your thyroid gland. We're moving on. I've given you a picture again. The hypothalamus, pituitary gland. You don't have to know that. That's your thyroid gland. You don't have to learn parathyroid. You just have to know the thyroid gland produces thyroxine. Your adrenal gland on top of your kidney. Your ovaries, your pancreas producing insulin and glucagon. We're going to look at all of that now. Let's move on, smart people. We're looking at the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. And just for revision already, you know this is the cerebrum. What is this area called? Can you guess? We've done it. Just a little bit of revision. Come guys, you got this. Corpus. And the next one, callosum. Not the corpus luteum, because the corpus luteum is its production. And there's your cerebellum for balance. There's your small pituitary gland. I told you it looks like a Quebec bean. And here's the brainstem, which is also known as the proper name. I wrote it as an M and an O. Can you remember that? Go back and check your notes. I've just given you the starting of that. I don't want to spoon feed you. We're looking at the pituitary gland, which is also known as the hypophysis. It is located in the brain, just below the hypothalamus. It's the most important of the endocrine. Many times they call it the master gland. And look what hormones it's producing. That hormone there, that one there is there by your thyroid gland. We're going to say it's thyroid stimulating hormone, so it's TSH. This one here, it's above your kidney. So we'll say ADH, antidiuretic hormone. We're coming to that. And this is above the testes. So this is your testosterone. Let us move on. All right. Let's look at it again. We're looking at the thyroid gland producing TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. This thyroid gland, what's going to happen here? Pituitary gland is going to produce thyroid stimulating hormone. Its target organ is the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is going to produce thyroxine. Main function of thyroxine, metabolism. And then it also produces prolactin, which we know is to produce milk during breastfeeding. It produces adrenal gland, ACTH. It's producing hormones that control that. You don't have to learn this. And this is your testes, which is producing gonadotropic cells produce follicle stimulating hormone in the ovary and luteinizing hormone. And then you got growth hormone also, which is going to your bones and skeletal muscle so that you can grow nice and tall. That's you get it, growth hormone, to stimulate the growth of bones and tissues. Also, it plays a role in absorption of minerals and nutrients. Prolactin, and many times you see this in a formula for children called prolactogen. So prolactin is to produce milk. TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, it stimulates the thyroid gland to produce thyroid hormones, which is thyroxine. Thyroxine, there's no E at the end. And corticotropic hormones, and adrenal glands produce certain hormones which you don't have to know or write your note for exams. Can we move on? All right, good people. This is again to show you where the pituitary gland, also known as your hypophysis, and many times referred to as your master gland. Just for revision, can you remember this? Starts with a C. Yes? Just a little bit revision. Cerebrum. Well done. And what's that part that's connecting the two hemispheres together again? I'll give you only the corpus something. Pituitary gland. What's this one? For balance. You tell me. So just for a little bit revision and for us to divert a little bit to refresh your memory, and we move on. We're now looking at the pancreas. So here's what the pancreas looks like. The pancreas produces two hormones, insulin, and it produces another hormone called glucagon. So look what happens. When your body glucose level, blood glucose level increases, we're not going to say sugar in your blood. Remember, you must say blood glucose level. So when your blood glucose level increases, you've come to school, you've had a big quarter, and then you had energy because you feel like you're going to the life science class, you really need energy, but you're sitting all the time. So as you're sitting, your blood glucose level goes up because you've eaten a lot of carbohydrates. As this goes up, there are special cells in your pancreas called the beta cells. They produce insulin. And how to remember? B-I-N. The beta cells produce insulin. What does the insulin do? It goes through your blood system. Via your blood, it goes to your body cells, and it tells your body cells, it allows it to start absorbing that extra glucose now, because this is too high. It's not your normal glucose level. It's above 90 milligrams per 100 milliliters. So what happens then? As your cells, your body cells starts absorbing it, to use it, obviously you're going to use some to think, and many of it's going to go into your muscles. There is always going to be an excess because you had already a quarter or bunny, and you had energy and maybe even a chocolate. So all of this extra glucose can't be used all the time. So the surplus glucose is taken by the insulin, takes it and moves it to the liver. This is what your liver looks like. And then it stores it. How does it store it? It's glycogen. We're going to do this much more in detail in homeostasis. What is homeostasis? It's the maintaining a constant internal environment in the body. So that's what happens. And then your blood glucose level goes down back to normal. Voila. Look at what happened if you don't eat. So now you are fasting. It's during Lent, or the Muslims are fasting, or you've just decided to go on a diet and starve yourself. Your blood glucose level goes down. And you can feel it. You feel a bit hungry. You feel a bit dizzy. What happens? This goes signals to your pancreas, where you have other types of cells called the alpha cells. The alpha cells produce another hormone called glucagon. Again, do not stress. I'm going to do this in detail and teach you how to remember this. But now remember, beta cells produce insulin. Therefore, the alpha cells will produce glucagon. What does glucagon do? It goes through the blood, through the liver. It tells the liver, take the glycogen, convert it to glucose, and send it back out into the blood. And after a while, you feel your stomach is not so hungry now. It's not making so much noise. You're okay, and your glucose level goes up. This will be done again in detail in homeostasis. Do not stress. Let's look at our reproductive glands. Or where are they found? They are found in the gonads. What are gonads? They are your sex organs. That's another terminology you must be afraid with. So the gonads are your testes and ovaries. They are present in males and females respectively, obviously, and they produce sex hormones. In the male, they produce the gonads are your testes. The most important hormone is testosterone, and in female, we know that's our gonads. And let's look what they are going to produce. They're going to produce two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. And good people, my darlings, remember that we have already done this in reproduction. So do not learn your systems, all your body systems in isolation. They link up. And here's your functions of estrogen and progesterone. Just to briefly go over it like we did over the brain. There's your ovaries. There's your fallopian tube. You're not allowed to say oviduct. Do not use arrows in labeling. There's your uterus. And guys, look what has happened. What has happened? Estrogen is produced by this ovary. It's development of secondary sexual reproductive characteristics. Your menstrual cycle. Progesterone is P for progesterone and P for pregnancy. It's going to allow you to maintain your pregnancy. What it does, it causes the development of the endometrium or the uterine wall. We have done this in complete detail. Let's move on. Your testes, it's producing testosterone, and this causes male secondary sexual characteristics with the formation of sperm cells. All right, let's move on. We have done all of this with puberty. Let's look now at the adrenal glands. You have two kidneys, so on top of each kidney, you have an adrenal gland. They produce two hormones, adrenaline and aldosterone. Aldosterone regulates the amount of salt in your body. Let's peg that. They like to ask this to you in section A for your exam. Right? And it also works with something called ADH, antidiuretic hormone, to bring about water balance. Let's move on to that. So I've made a note for you on ADH, antidiuretic hormone. And if we look at the word diuretic, it comes from the word diarrhea, meaning water. It's got something to do with water. So this hormone produced by the pituitary gland, ADH, antidiuretic hormone, it has something to do with maintaining homeostasis, with maintaining how much of water is coming out in your urine, excreting in your urine, and how much is maintained in your bloodstream. So look what happens on a hot day or during strenuous exercises. There's an increase of ADH, which comes from the pituitary gland. The ADH, antidiuretic hormone, where does it go to? It goes to your distal convoluted tubules in your kidney and your collecting ducts. What does it do? It increases the permeability, and it allows the water to be reabsorbed from these two tubules back into the blood that surrounds it, and therefore your blood level will go up back to normal. You'll urinate less, you'll perspire more, and your urine will be more concentrated. On a cold day, I have not spoon-fed you. You're going to varsity next year. You compile this yourself. On a cold day, it's exactly the opposite. And to remember, to recall, think on a cold day how much you urinate. A lot more, and you perspire less. Let's look at adrenaline. Possible examination question. It's linked with your sympathetic system. It prepares you. This is known as a flight or fight hormone. Flight, you're either going to fly away or fight. And I want you to try and recall an advert on TV. Maybe this young guy like you drinking Red Bull, and he's in a passage and a group of thugs come towards him to attack him. And after drinking Red Bull, he decides, should I fight them or should I flight them? And smart boy, he turns around and he runs because there's a whole group of them. So that's what adrenaline does. This is your one that's going to be working like crazy when you're writing your final exam. Obviously, you're not going to fight. You're going to flight. You're going to fight and work through the paper, and you're going to do really well. Look what adrenaline does. It's working with the sympathetic system, the system that feels sorry for you, that has sympathy for you when you're in stress mode. It increases your heartbeat, raises your BP, it speeds up conversion of glycogen to glucose to your muscles, causes pupils to dilate, your skeletal muscle tone increases, and you can see this. You even see this in cats and dogs when they're ready to fight and the adrenaline is pumping. You see how the cat hunches its back and growls, and the same thing with the dog, growling, and its nails comes out. This is what adrenaline does. And to just make it more interesting, here's what the adrenal gland looks like. Let us move on, my darlings. I don't want you to stress. You're going to be fine. Here's your islets of Langerhans. This is your pancreas now. There's a nice diagram. It's showing you what the pancreas looks like. Can you see? There's your pancreatic. Now, pancreatic duct, which is this one. So we say that the pancreas is an exocrine gland. What is an exocrine gland? It is a gland that secretions leaves via ducts. And what does the pancreas produce that leaves via ducts? Pancreatic juice. This pancreatic juice plays a role in digestion. It produces pancreatic juice, which plays a role in digestion. And how does it leave? Through the pancreatic duct. Sorry, but out of factors, getting back there, pancreatic duct. That's what an exocrine gland is. Right. So that's your pancreatic duct. But guess what? This pancreas is the only gland that produces pancreatic juice through the duct, pancreatic duct, and it's also an endocrine gland. So it is the only gland in your body that is both exo and endo. What does it produce in the endocrine? Your hormones, insulin and glucagon. So this is the only one that is both exocrine and endocrine, because it's producing the hormones which is going via the bloodstream around it into your body, and it's also an exocrine gland because it's producing pancreatic juice through the pancreatic duct. So that got nothing to do with insulin and glucagon. Let's look at the islets of Langerhans. We spoke about alpha cells and beta cells. The easiest way to remember is BIN, B-I-N. The beta cells produce insulin. So therefore the alpha cells will produce glucagon. We're moving on, good people. And what does insulin do? Revision again, I'm drilling you. It reduces the blood glucose level. If it's too high, it stimulates the conversion, very, very important, of glucose into glycogen and stores it in the liver. And it promotes the absorption of glucose into the blood, very important. And increases the use of glucose to the liver muscles. And look at this. This is what it looks like. So there's your alpha and beta cells. You do not have to know this diagram. I've just got it there for interest sake. And we move on to disorders. When we're looking at disorders now, that's oversecretion and undersecretion, guys. Look at this. Can you see that this ladies and this gentleman have an enlarged thyroid gland? Now, for thyroxine to be produced, it needs a chemical called iodine. And you see this on the periodic table. This is found in salt and fish. So for your thyroid gland to function very well, you need iodine, which is found in salt and fish. And if you go to the supermarket, you'll see on the salt it doesn't iodinated salt. Now, if you don't have this, then you're going to have this enlarged goiter. This is called goiter. All right, are we okay? And what does goiter do? You're going to tell me. You're going to tell me what is the repercussions of having goiter. Because we know now that the function of the thyroid gland is metabolism, to make sure that everything in your body has been functioning properly. And with metabolism, with the metabolic rate, it also helps you with your nervous system function well. And just to go back a bit, let's look at this. This is growth hormone. This is what a normal person looks like. This is oversecretion called gigantism. So oversecretion of growth hormone, gigantism. You see these people in the Guinness Book of Records. Undersecretion, no, it's not me. I know you're thinking it's me because I'm vertically challenged. I'm not short. And yes, what a normal person would look like. And again, revision, pituitary gland, right? Producing growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, prolactin, producing FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, producing LH, right? There's your thyroid gland producing thyroxine. Very good. No E at the end, my apologies. All right, you don't have to know this one. You don't have to know the parathyroid gland, which is in the thyroid gland. Here's your adrenal gland, of course, producing adrenaline. And your pancreas, which is the only one, exo and endo, producing insulin and glucagon. Here has pancreatic juice. Your ovaries with your FSH, LH, and testosterone. And then there's other diagram here, another diagram to keep you focused. And just because I think you needed to study more, and I've given you a bit of a break, and I know that you're missing me because I miss you with this lockdown, I've given you your terminology. I've put everything up here for you, so I've given you answers to your terminology. How's that? And with that, I like to love you and leave you. And remember that you can't disappoint me. You just can make me more proud or prouder. Love you all. Take care. See you soon.